This is NBC Nightly News with John Chancellor on special assignment and David Brinkley in New York.
Good evening. DES, a medication prescribed for millions of pregnant women over the years until 1974, is now believed to be a cancer hazard both for the women who took it and for their children. The Health, Education, and Welfare Department has been asked to begin examinations of all the women who took DES. Here are two reports.
In 1955, when Mrs. Florence Bolello was pregnant with her daughter Suzanne, her doctor told her to take a drug called DES to avoid a miscarriage. There were 2 million women like Mrs. Bolello who took DES from the late 1940s until 1974, when it was banned for pregnant women. And now there is evidence that all of these women could have a much higher than normal incidence of breast cancer.
The doctor said I would have to take the pills, but he never told me what they were, and if they would cause cancer or anything. Of course, if I knew then at the time, I would never take them.
Doctors have known for several years that daughters of women who took DES during pregnancy have an increased risk of cancer of the cervix. Evidence that the danger also extends to the mothers comes from a 1951 study at the University of Chicago that was designed to find out if the drug was effective for preventing miscarriages. 1,000 pregnant women got DES and another 1,000 did not. Recent follow-up studies have shown that the incidence of breast cancer is 76% higher among the women who got DES. Because of the Chicago study, Dr. Sidney Wolf of Ralph Nader's Health Research Group has asked HEW Secretary Joseph Califano to begin examinations of all of the women who got DES.
The excess breast cancer in the DES mothers, the women who took DES to prevent miscarriage, is as serious as any drug-related cancer that we've seen. It could easily turn out, when all the data are in, that thousands of women extra, above and beyond the amount of cancer that usually occurs, thousands of extra cases of breast cancer may be caused by DES.
Secretary Califano had no immediate response to the request from the Nader Group. Physicians familiar with these studies emphasize that more work needs to be done before they know the full extent of the cancer hazard. But they say that any woman who took DES should be getting regular examinations from her doctor. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Washington.
Diethylstilbestrol is a synthetic estrogen, a hormone. DES became popular because it is cheap and easy to manufacture. Besides medical uses, DES has been used to feed cattle and chickens, but its use has always been surrounded by scientific controversy. In 1974, it was banned for pregnant women. But it is still licensed today for estrogen therapy, for vaginitis therapy in elderly women, for swelling of the breasts in new mothers who decide not to nurse their babies, for prostate cancer in men, a major use, for inoperable breast cancer in women, for contraception as a morning after technique, but too risky to use except after rape or incest. DES is banned as a growth stimulant in chickens, but not in beef cattle. The Food and Drug Administration has been trying to get DES barred as a potential carcinogenic since 1973. The meat industry says there is no proof. 20 years ago, there was no proof that DES was dangerous to pregnant women or their babies. Tom Pettit, NBC News, Washington.
An interesting Supreme Court ruling today. Congress in 1967 made it illegal for an employer to discriminate because of age against employees between 40 and 65. The court now says today that under pension and retirement plans in effect before 1967, a worker can still be forced to retire before 65. Carl Stern with details.
Harris McMahon used to fly and supervise the flying of DC-8s and 727s for United Airlines. Now he gives flying lessons at a small airport in Virginia. He was retired because he reached age 60. A federal law prohibits age discrimination, but McMahon was covered by a pension plan that required retirement at age 60. Today, the Supreme Court said plans set up before the age discrimination law are valid, ending McMahon's dream to go back to United Airlines and placing an estimated 11 million workers in the same position, outside the law's protection against early retirement. McMahon, who was disappointed, said he'd been inspired to fight because of what happened to his own father.
Well, when he retired, it was only about 4 years after he retired, and he was in good health at the time that he retired, that he passed away, merely from rotting away, so to speak.
You didn't want that to happen to you?
I didn't want that to happen to me.
Today's decision leaves millions of Americans who were forced to retire on pensions out in the cold. But help may be on the way for workers in the future. Legislation now pending in Congress would prohibit retiring most workers because of age before age 70, no matter what it says in their pension plans. Carl Stern, NBC News at the Supreme Court.
And the court offered a few other opinions. Maryland tried to water down a little the Miranda rule on the rights of accused criminals, and the court said no. A woman in Chicago pointed to and identified the man she said had raped her. The court said no, that could not be done because at the time she pointed to him, he did not yet have a lawyer. It refused to get into the argument among several states about which of them was Howard Hughes's home state. 2 of them are extremely eager to collect the inheritance tax.
A guy I know tells me this new Sunbeam adjustable groomer razor is the greatest shaver ever made. And I say, so what? I'm a blade man. He says, try it and you won't be. He's right.
Here's how Sunbeam's new groomer razor works. 12 stainless steel blades cut at 8,000 strokes a minute through the thinnest shaving head you can get. Stands whiskers up and shears them off, at or below the skin line.
You a blade guy? Try this. It may be the last time you use a blade.
Which is best for driving in fog, high beams or low? We built this fog chamber to show you. Okay, lights. With high beams on, your light shines straight ahead, and you see mostly glare. Low beams are better. They send light down. You see less glare, more road. And fog lights can help even more. Get more safety tips in the Foul Weather Driving Book, free from participating Shell dealers. Come to Shell for answers.
Hi, how are you today?
Worried. I've got a Christmas gift problem.
Gifts are easy at Hickory Farms. Relax. Try our beef stick.
Very nice.
We've got gift packs with beef stick and cheese, too, like Smoky Bar. You tell us your gift problems. Hickory Farms will solve them.
Oh, well, I have quite a few.
We'll even send your gift.
No, thanks. I'll deliver them myself.
Christmas gifts gotta show it to kids. Reserved by Chase Market.
Secretary Vance went to Jordan to see if he could persuade King Hussein to join in the Egyptian-Israeli peace talks in Cairo. He couldn't. King Hussein said no, he may meet later, but not now. Here are 2 reports.
Secretary of State Vance came here to find out when Jordan might be ready to join Israel and Egypt at the conference table.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
He met for several hours with King Hussein, who was cautiously awaiting some results from the upcoming Egyptian-Israeli talks in Cairo before making that decision. But Jordan is expected to join in at some point. In the meantime, Hussein is working hard to restore Arab unity, and he reported to Vance on his efforts to mediate between Egypt and Syria. Vance informed the king about his recent discussions in Cairo and Jerusalem. Later, Hussein told the news conference that he was now more optimistic than he's been for a long time. And he said the next move was up to Israel.
I believe that this is an opportunity that will never occur again. There is so much at stake. If we are to fail, I can begin to think of the disasters that could befall this area, and maybe the world. This is a moment not to be lost. And I hope that our friends in the United States will do all they could to ensure that this opportunity is not lost.
King Hussein also said that many people in the Arab world are still skeptical about Israel and are still waiting to see how Israel responds to President Sadat's initiative. And he made clear that he expects the United States to use its influence with Israel to help shape that response. Richard Valeriani, NBC News, in Amman, Jordan.
The Americans believe that if King Hussein should go to Cairo, his presence there would add prestige and importance to this week's meeting. And they've been urging him to go, but only as a polite request, because Secretary Vance understands the king's problem. In 1974, a summit meeting of Arab states took from the king the political future of the West Bank, gave it to the Palestine Liberation Organization. If now, under the impetus of the Sadat Initiative, King Hussein should suddenly reemerge as a spokesman for the people of the West Bank, he would be subject to severe criticism from those nations which have just attended the rejection conference in Libya. The king would like to get back into the action, but he needs a couple of signs of approval first. One would be a clear indication that the Israelis are going to make significant concessions in terms of the future of the West Bank. The other would be more support from among the other Arab states than he is now getting. But if either or both of those signs should come through in the next month or so, it's quite likely that King Hussein or his representative could turn up in Cairo. Steve Delaney, NBC News, Amman.
Israel's Foreign Minister Dayan says President Sadat of Egypt expects to make real progress within a week or 10 days in the Cairo conference beginning Wednesday. Expects to, hopes to, and needs to, since he might be in political trouble if he does not. And said Dayan, if Sadat wants a separate peace with Israel, he can have it within 10 days. At the AFL-CIO convention in Los Angeles, a few union leaders have suggested, slightly timorously, that George Meany, at 83, ought to retire and give the presidency to somebody younger. Well, he won't. He ran for another 2-year term. He won. Here's Irving R. Levine in Los Angeles.
George Meany knew he was going to be re-elected by a unanimous vote, but he seemed in a grumpy mood when asked what problems he faces in his 12th consecutive term.
I don't give any interviews at conventions. You know, you should know by this. Your old friends? Nope.
But other union leaders said Meany's main problems are the decline in AFL-CIO membership and the refusal of some union members to obey their leaders.
Nobody, our members don't trust their government. We're not trusting our Congress. We don't trust the union leadership.
One of the real problems that we have in this labor movement is that 3 out of 4 American workers are not members of unions. Unions scramble and spend more time and effort quarreling with each other than quarreling with the employer.
It's true. The trend over the past several years has been there's been more construction built non-union than union.
Privately, many union leaders say they doubt that Meany, at age 83, will be able to solve the problems of a declining and rebellious union membership. But they felt compelled to vote for Meany anyway because of all that he's done for organized labor in the past quarter century. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Last Friday in the Houston-Los Angeles basketball game, Kermit Washington of Los Angeles slugged a Houston player, knocked him out, broke his jaw, his nose, and fractured his skull. Today, basketball commissioner Larry O'Brien gave Washington the heaviest penalty in basketball history, suspension for 60 days without pay and a $10,000 fine. Here's Robert Hager.
The Houston Rockets had just scored. There was a scuffle. Now watch to the right of the scuffle. Rudy Tomjanovich of Houston suffered a fractured skull, a concussion, and a broken jaw. Here again in slow motion, watch to the right of the screen. The Lakers' Kermit Washington, who threw the punch, said today it was an honest, unfortunate mistake, that he saw Tomjanovich coming at him and he just swung. The Houston Rockets management said it thought the penalty against Washington should have been tougher, and things may get tougher in the future. Commissioner O'Brien's office says it's appointing a study group to see what ought to be done to prevent violence in professional basketball. Robert Hager, NBC News.
In 1908, Clementine Hosier married Winston Churchill in London, and of that day he later wrote, "We married and lived happily ever after." On their 50th anniversary, he said it was the most successful marriage of the 20th century. They were close companions, affectionate and devoted to each other through all of his brilliant career. The British public came to love her. Today she died of a heart attack at her home. She was 92. The funeral will be private. There will be a memorial service in January.
All microwave ovens are meant to cook one food at a time. Until now. Litton introduces the Meal-in-One microwave oven. Its secret is a unique cooking system that lets you cook 1, 2, 3 foods, even a complete meal, all at once. And it has a solid-state memory so you can just touch and cook. Litton's exclusive Meal-in-One microwave oven. It's a whole new microwave meal idea. Litton is changing the way America cooks.
Fragrant moments of this Christmas will fade away before you know it. Are you going to let them go without pictures? In color? On Kodak film? Before the magic is memory, see your photo dealer and ask for the film in the familiar yellow box. Kodak film, for the times of your life.
I trust my sheets. This is one of the new scenics from Burlington, so I trust it to wake up my bedroom. And that goes for my comforter, my pillowcases, and my matching towels.
We trust our carpets. They're all Lee's carpets by Burlington, so we know they'll come in the styles, textures, and colors we want. Like green.
Everyone wants to have faith in the things they buy. And when you buy Burlington, there's so much to trust.
We trust our Burlington furniture, draperies, lamps.
Our segment 3 this evening, the first of a 5-part series on organized crime and what it's doing these days. What a lot of it is doing is moving south, like other enterprises in this country, seeking a warmer climate, new opportunities, and money. Well, this move to the south, as in other cases, has brought a change in dress. The double-breasted blue suit, the white-on-white shirt, the silver necktie, and the pointy black shoes are replaced by sporty clothes. Yellow pants, cardigan sweaters, and coconut straw hats. Here's Brian Ross.
Southern Florida, along with many Americans, the leaders of organized crime have moved south in the 1970s. Some people come here to retire. The mafia has come here to work. Sam the plumber DeCalvacanti, 65 years old, a mafia don from New Jersey. DeCalvacanti has told authorities in New Jersey he's too sick, too nervous to answer questions. And he has to take it easy in Florida. But for a sick man, DeCalvacanti has a busy schedule. He drives his own car. And almost daily he comes here, the Miami Heart Institute. According to Dade County detectives, a regular meeting place for a number of organized crime figures. DeCalvacanti's car is parked for him in a doctors-only space. And on this day, within a few minutes of the time DeCalvacanti left, at least 3 of his friends were seen leaving. Many of the men who used to meet on street corners in Brooklyn or Newark now meet here. In Florida, DeCalvacanti is a don among dons, a boss among bosses. Robert Shevin is the Attorney General of Florida.
At least 17 of the 27 major organized crime families are located in Florida. And we have probably well over 1,500 major organized crime figures who have come to Florida. A lot of them were here before, but many more have come since 1969. I think we've either tripled or doubled the number of organized crime figures in Florida since 1969.
Organized crime families, once centered in the big cities of the north, are now on the move, south and west. The mob is moving away from its old rackets in its old territories and investing in many new businesses in many new places. In convention cities like Atlanta, the mafia is putting its money in nightclubs and sex businesses. The mob is baking bagels and is putting money into fast food franchises. In city after city, The mob is using profits from street rackets to move into a number of businesses: banking, cigarettes, trucking, shopping centers, clothing, construction, cable TV, even cheese. And mafia domination in 4 big unions is being investigated by the Justice Department. In the Teamsters, the laborers, the restaurant workers, and the International Longshoremen's Association. Federal organized crime prosecutors say today's mobsters are seeking the appearance of legitimacy in unions and businesses.
The days of the big gangster and all these trappings will go along. They figure they've got to stop. They're big, still that powerful, and they still have their money, and they still have their powerful means. But the more that they can look sophisticated and businesslike and not attract attention, the better it is for them. So after all, organized crime is a business, and any big corporation certainly wouldn't want its major officers creating big scandals and being the center of a lot of publicity.
So far in Florida and the other places where the mob has moved seeking a new identity, police have been able to do little more than watch. The man under surveillance this night in Miami was Joe Paterno, identified as a capo, a captain in the Gambino Mafia family. Another night in Hollandale, Florida, a police tow truck ripped the door off this building. And police film what they found inside. Almost 20 mob figures from New York and New Jersey, meeting in the middle of the night.
You all are under arrest for frequenting the gambling house, maintaining the gambling house.
They said they were just playing cards. But authorities say more is involved here than poker or gin rummy. And the governor of Florida has ordered a statewide grand jury to find out what the mafia is really doing in Florida.
Southern Florida is more than a playground for the mob. It's an important business center. A center for a criminal organization that had its roots in Europe and came to full power in America. By whatever name it's known, the Mafia, La Casa Nostra, the Syndicate, this criminal organization controls billions of dollars and touches the lives of all of us. During the rest of this week, we'll report on how the mob operates, how it runs its rackets, how it takes over legitimate businesses and drives up prices, and how it protects itself from the law. Brian Ross, NBC News, Miami.
For over 60 years, the Frankfurter has been drowned, incinerated, but never really fulfilled until the Presto hot dog or electric hot dog cooker cooks 1 to 5 hot dogs from the inside out in just 60 seconds.
Now that's a hot dog.
The 60-second answer to a 60-year-old problem, the hot dogger from Presto. Innovation to make it first. Quality that makes it last.
It's the night before Christmas, and soft as a mouse, he brings Texas Instruments into the house. For friends and relations and husbands and wives, the great Texas Instruments 1025s, they even have memory. And maybe what's nicest, 1095 is all that the price is. And at 1095 for such a wonder, think of all the trees you can put one under.
The TI 1025 from Texas Instruments, innovators in personal electronics.
1 ounce of Total has 100% of the recommended daily allowance of all these important vitamins and iron.
That's good.
I'll pour this leading natural cereal. Stop me when you think the vitamin value equals Totals.
Okay.
Not yet.
Enough.
Nope.
Oh, come on.
It takes at least 16 ounces of any leading natural cereal to equal the vitamins in 1 ounce of fortified Total.
Well, that's a real difference.
That's the total difference.
Briefly today, in London, the first returns from the firemen voting on accepting a new pay offer and going back to work. The returns so far suggest their answer will be no, that they will stay out. In Chicago, the American Medical Association said unnecessary tests and unnecessary x-rays are running up excessive hospital bills. In London, the Jockey Club, after 225 years of running British racing with an all-male membership, is accepting women. In Washington, a senator was addressing a business group about a bill on international trade and investment, and he said, This bill is intended to consolidate the present chaos. 2 American football teams playing a game in Japan before a packed house of people who knew absolutely nothing about football. But they enjoy it without knowing the rules, because they do know a lot of heavyweight players are out there running around, knocking each other down, throwing the ball, kicking it, running, brightly colored uniforms, and so the rules don't matter very much. Jim Laurie in Tokyo.
It was more like a circus than a football contest. For one thing, the teams marched through Tokyo's downtown streets to drum up fans for the game. The Pied Pipers here were the Tigers of Grambling State University and the Owls of Temple of Philadelphia. Come game time, the Pipers had done their job. Tokyo's biggest stadium was packed with nearly 50,000 fans. And the Japanese, who see only about one football game a year, seemed eager to take on a new sport.
The Japanese may not know much about football, but they're learning fast. Japanese sports newspapers carry instructions on how to play. And now they're building a new star for Japan. There's a full page on Grambling quarterback Doug Williams.
The papers boast that Tokyo fans are enjoying a unique opportunity. They're seeing in action Doug Williams, the first player from an all-black school to be named an All-American player, and who now is on his way to the pros. In the end, though, it was not the best of days for Williams or Grambling. The Tigers were expected to trounce Temple. Instead, it was a squeaker. The Japanese had named the game the Mirage Bowl after a new automobile they're pushing. And for Grambling, who had their sights aimed high, victory was nearly a mirage. Final score, Grambling 35, Temple 32. Jim Laurie, NBC News, Tokyo.
Thank you, and good night for all of us at NBC News.
I'm Phyllis George. Preparing dinner for my guests used to be a chore, but now it's a snap, thanks to my Oster Regency 5 Kitchen Center. It's a slicer shredder for making salads, coleslaw, or French fries, an Osterizer blender, multi-speed mixer, food grinder, and even a dough maker for homemade bread or pastries. The Kitchen Center is the ultimate in food processors for people who enjoy cooking or eating. The Oster Regency 5 Kitchen Center makes you feel like a guest in your own kitchen.
And finally, man, your Miss Kit must be...
8 hours and 6 minutes? Incredible!
In summation...
9 hours and 5 minutes?
Amazing!
Vicks Sinex long-acting nasal spray is amazing. It can quickly have you breathing as easily as someone with no congestion problem. And then it decongests up to 10 hours.
The Grand Canyon proved to be...
10 hours? Fantastic.
The slideshow?
No, my nasal spray.
Vicks Sinex long-acting.
Sunshine Christmas, a special holiday story of love and life starring Cliff DeYoung,
How about me and Jill coming home for Christmas?
Elizabeth Cheshire,
It's gonna be all right. They gotta be nice to you.
Pat Hingle, and Barbara Hershey. Sunshine Christmas, a 2-hour world premiere tonight at 9, 8 Central and Mountain, following Little House on the Prairie on NBC.
Robertson Jewelers has kept the Christmas tradition for a quarter century and has brightened many eyes on Christmas morning with ideal gift ideas for mom, dad,